Manufacturing industry continued to rally with the PMI reaching record high. After de-inventory, consumption in the major countries is in normal level, which subsequently reactivated international trade. In January, US imports and exports increased 14.1% year-on-year, while February exports in Japan increased 45.31% year-on-year. Those figures surely give us sufficient confidence towards the recovery outlook. Second, after experiencing the crisis, world economy became healthier. Before the crisis, due to long-lasting prosperity, some investment become irrational, which logically led to the structural risk and asset bubbles. At one time, the crude oil price surged close to $150 per barrel. Indicators for resource allocation were seriously distorted. Now we may come to a conclusion that this financial crisis has, to some extent, released some structural risks by bringing back the resource allocation to normal logic. Governments, as visible hands, give more attention on the structural risk of their internal economic distortions. For instance, the US government began to restrain its overconsumption and to tackle its trade deficit in order to achieve better employment on reviving its export industry. European Union members began to stage out policies to control their fiscal deficit after the spread of the debt crisis. Dubai crisis forced the Middle East government to reconsider its investment and risk management. In China, our government is doing its utmost to optimize our economic structure, transforming from export reliance into a model driven by the domestic consumption. Those transformations cannot be achieved in a short period of time, but this is, I believe, a good start towards the right direction. However, I'm not a sluggish optimist. I perceive that up till now, the crisis is far from over, even though there is a great opportunity and risk in post-crisis scenario. Risks are still existing. In general, crisis is not over yet. The aftermath of the crisis is still there. Individual and structural risks still remain. Many issues remain doubtful today. Whether the economy will hit the second bottom, whether the exit of the stimulus policy will cause another round of recession, whether European debt crisis will spread to other developed countries, and how the market will respond to the inflation risk brought by the continued loose monetary policies. As Australia and India announced interest rate hike recently. Other arguments go to the trade protectionism triggered by imbalance of trade. More potential trade tensions between China and the US. Oversupply of the production capacities in China's economy and the potential asset bubbles. Those arguments are leaving us with many uncertainties. The rules of the macro economy tell us that deep recession is always followed by the sharp rebound. Observations from the real driver of the world economic growth in the past 2 decades show that globalization has never reached its peak. Information technology are still improving. Advantages of the capital and the management in developed countries have not disappeared. Advantage of labor and market resources in developing economy are still there. Most people view that the current market is improving actually agree with it. And I also believe that though market volatility will continue for a while, we have already got through the deepest valley, which is to say the disastrous situation in the end of the year 2008 and early the year 2009 will not recur in the short run. In November 2008, I delivered a keynote speech on the World Shipping Summit China 2008 with the title of the Market Needs Confidence at a time when market was filled with the panic. Why, in the following year, I delivered another keynote speech at the same occasion with the title of Market Needs Rationality. I believe with the confidence and the ration, the world economy will eventually work out of the gloomy climate. As long as we are well prepared in the winter time, we will seize opportunities in the spring of a new cycle of the growth. In the second part of my speech, I would like to discuss with you on the important role that China factor play in world maritime trade. 49 years ago, on April 27, 1961, COSCO was born with only 4 old small vessels. Nearly half a century past, we now become a transnational shipping giant with shipping, logistics, terminal investor and operator, shipbuilding, and ship repairing as our core business. Today, COSCO is owning and operating nearly 800 modern vessels with 54 million deadweight tonnage and a total annual turnaround cargo of over 400 million tons. Our business extends to 160 countries and over 1,500 ports. In terms of the comprehensive fleet size, COSCO Group is the second largest one in the world and the largest one in China. COSCO's development path is a reflection of the historical growth of China's economy and the maritime industry. In the past 3 decades, China, with the help of a globalized economy, has achieved enormous economic growth through the reform and the open up policy. China's GDP grew more than 50 times with an average annual rate of more than 9%. In year 2009, China's GDP reached 33.5 trillion RMB or 4.91 trillion US dollar, heading very close towards Japan, which has been the second largest economy for almost 2 decades. China's foreign trade also grew rapidly, with an annual growth rate at 17%. China's foreign trade volume is 100 times more than that of 30 years ago. In year 2009, China's total export reached 1.2 trillion US dollars, making China the largest exporting country in the world, exceeding Germany. On one hand, China's rapid economic growth attributes to the benefits of a right policy direction, which is centered by the reform and open up and enable China a better catch opportunities in globalized economy. In the process of the globalization, manufacturing industry in developed country move towards developing country, where industrialization is at the primary stage. Resources and raw materials are exported into developing country, while products were imported into developed country. As a result, trading volumes grew and trading direction gets changed. China's open up process just corresponds to the globalization of the world's economy. In this period, China's manufacturing and exporting industry growing dynamically. By the year 2009, China became the second largest manufacturing economy, accounting for 15.6% of the world's total manufactured products, only second to the 19% share of the United States. China has become the world's factory. On the other hand, China's robust growth also attributes In the past 30 years, China's urbanization rate rose from 17.9% to 46.6%, reflected from its huge investments in highways, railways, airports, automobiles, and heavy machineries. Take the automobile industry, for example. China's total annual car output has grown from 150,000 to 13.79 million units from 1978 to 2009. The role of the infrastructure investment in stimulating China's economic growth has been strengthened in the past 3 decades. China's economy was also affected by the financial crisis, but it is noticeable that the comparative advantage of China is more striking. In the beginning of the year 2009, Mr. Ross B. Zulik, president of the World Bank, and its chief economist, Professor Justin Lin, co-wrote an article titled "Recovery Rise on the G2" on Washington Post, saying that Chinese economy is playing an increasingly important role amidst the global recovery in the post-crisis era. Since unfolding the crisis, Chinese government adopted 4 major measures to stimulate recovery. The first one is to adopt a relatively loosened economic regulatory policy, especially with its monetary policy. Last year, China's commercial bank lending climbed to a record of the 10.52 trillion RMB, and another 2.09 trillion RMB was added in the first 2 months of year 2010. The second measure is to implement a stimulus package for 10 major industries that are severely hit by the financial turbulence, such as steel, heavy machinery, shipbuilding, and logistics. The third measure is to further promote domestic consumption demand. Policies in favor of home appliances going to the countryside and low-emission car consumption have made China the largest automobile manufacturing and consuming country in the world in year 2009, last year. The fourth step taken is 4 trillion RMB fiscal stimulus plan. This stimulus package has largely activated the enthusiasm of local governments and enterprises in investment. Based on authoritative statistics, since in the beginning of the year 2009, the provincial government-led investment project reached over 15 trillion RMB, which in turn led to the expanding of the government's bonds. The central government dominated the investments. Most went to infrastructures, all those projects focusing on improving well-being. In the short run, the 4 trillion RMB package can facilitate employment and revive industrial and economic growth, while in the long term, it can help raise people's living standards and promote the building of a harmonious society. And more importantly, bridge the gap of the investment environment between the western part and the coast area of China. In the most difficult years of 2009, China's demand of the external energy and resources remained strong. In year 2009, China imported 620 million tons of iron ore, 120 million tons of coal, which increased 180 million tons and 70 million tons year-on-year respectively. This dramatic increase has supplemented the decline of 250 million tons of world's dry bulk shipping cargo, contributing significantly to the world's sustained dry bulk shipping volume at 900 million tons per year. Therefore, China factor greatly facilitates the global dry bulk shipping market. In fact, China is currently the world's second largest energy producer and consumer. China is also the largest consumer in steel, copper, zinc, platinum, and iron ore. Therefore, increasing demands of the importing energy and raw materials from China have become a major driver of the global bulk shipping market. The imports of iron ore from China accounted for 69% of the world's total maritime iron ore trade. China's transformation from a 100 million tons net coal exporter to a 100 million tons net coal importer also changed the world's traditional pattern of coal shipping. In the past decade, China's dry bulk shipping volume kept an annual growth of 23.2%, dramatically faster than that of Japan at 1.2%, and the US at 0.9%, and the European Union at minus 0.8%. In addition, China has become a major container shipping and maritime country with over 16 seaports and each exit annual throughput of 100 million tons. From the perspective of the internal and external factors of the China's economic growth, I believe that China will continue to be key driving force of the world shipping industry, given that the long-term growth of China's economy will be sustainable. Externally, resource endowment of each country and its comparative advantage remain unchanged. On the contrary, globalized supply chain as a result of a globalized relocation of the industry has already been well formed. Investments from the